The Los Angeles Dodgers walked away with a 5-3 victory over the Colorado Rockies, but the final score tells almost none of the actual story of what happened inside Dodger Stadium that night. This was a game that had everything: dominance, tension, a dramatic collapse, and then a moment in the seventh inning that stopped the entire ballpark cold and sent shockwaves through the baseball world. Because when Shohei Ohtani crashes to the ground in front of tens of thousands of fans, nothing else matters. Not the score, not the standings, not the comeback. The only question anyone was asking was, how bad is it? But to understand exactly why that collision hit so hard, literally and figuratively, you have to go back to the first pitch of the game. The Dodgers and Rockies matchup carried real weight. The Dodgers entered this game locked into their championship-caliber rhythm, and the lineup they put out was built around one man above everyone else: Shohei Ohtani. Every opposing manager game plans around him. Every pitcher prepares differently because of him. He is the axis around which the entire Dodgers offense rotates, and on this night he made that fact impossible to ignore from the very first at-bat. Rockies starter Tanner Gordon was on the mound, and on the very first pitch of the game he and Ohtani were already locked in. Gordon fired an 86.2 mph slider aimed at the inside corner, a location that many pitchers target against right-handed hitters, but which happens to sit directly inside Ohtani's most dangerous zone. That was a mistake. Ohtani loaded up and unleashed his signature swing: compact, explosive, perfectly timed, and drove the ball into the gap for a powerful double. The crowd at Dodger Stadium was immediately on its feet, but the inning did not deliver on that promise. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Andy Pages all went down in order, leaving Ohtani stranded at second base. The opportunity was gone, but the message had already been sent. Ohtani was locked in and Gordon was going to have a long night. The Dodgers did not have to wait long to put runs on the board. Kike Hernandez, a player known for delivering in big moments, stepped up and ripped a quality RBI double deep into left field. A teammate crossed home plate and the Dodgers had drawn first blood. Dodger Stadium erupted. The energy in the ballpark climbed immediately, and the Dodgers had exactly what they needed: a lead, a statement, and a crowd that was completely into it. The third inning gave Ohtani another opportunity, and once again he made his presence felt without even putting a ball in play. The Dodgers had a runner on second with no outs, a prime situation for any offense. Tanner Gordon, already burned once by Ohtani in the first, went into extreme caution mode. He pitched repeatedly outside the strike zone, refusing to give Ohtani anything close to the inner half of the plate. Ohtani didn't bite. He worked the count patiently, tracked breaking balls out of the zone without flinching, and forced Gordon to walk him. It was a crucial walk that loaded the base paths and kept the Rockies' defense under maximum pressure. This is exactly what separates Ohtani from most hitters. Every at-bat becomes a psychological battle that the opposing pitcher is already losing before the first pitch. He rarely gets fooled by breaking balls, and he forces pitchers to navigate around him so carefully that they often end up hurting themselves in the process. The Dodgers had momentum, but baseball has a way of flipping a game in a single swing. Heading into the seventh inning, the Dodgers' bullpen had been carrying one of the most remarkable streaks in the league: 38 consecutive scoreless innings. That number is elite by any measure. Reliever Kyle Hurt came in to protect it. Then Ezequiel Tovar stepped to the plate. Tovar launched a solo home run that silenced the Dodgers' side of the stadium and officially snapped that incredible streak at 38 innings. But the damage didn't stop there. By the time the innings settled, the Rockies had taken a 3-1 lead. The scoreboard had flipped completely. The tension inside Dodger Stadium spiked in an instant, and what had felt like a comfortable Dodgers evening suddenly became a genuine fight. The Dodgers responded the way a championship-caliber team is supposed to, with immediate aggression. The Rockies brought in left-handed reliever Brennan Bernardino to try to hold the lead, but things unraveled quickly for Colorado. Bernardino walked batter after batter, and before the Rockies could reset, the bases were loaded with no outs. Dodger Stadium was back on its feet. The crowd was electric. The energy was at a completely different level than it had been just minutes earlier. 50,000 people could feel what was building: a massive inning, a potential lead change, a comeback that would define the game. And that's when Shohei Ohtani stepped into the batter's box with the bases loaded, the deficit at 2 runs, and the entire weight of the moment resting squarely on his shoulders. Bernardino delivered a low curveball. Ohtani read it perfectly, staying back and driving it sharply off his bat, a hard grounder toward second base. The Rockies turned the double play. That part was clean. But Ohtani had sprinted down the line at full speed, the way he always does, refusing to give an inch on any play regardless of the odds. The throw beat him. The umpire called him out. The Dodgers immediately threw the challenge flag. The play went to replay review, and what the cameras revealed was critical. Ohtani's foot had touched first base a split second before the catch was secured. The call was overturned. Ohtani was ruled safe. That's where the play should have ended. That's where it should have been a routine, if dramatic, overturned call in a high-stakes inning. But what happened next had nothing routine about it. The Rockies' first baseman lunged violently into Ohtani at full speed. It was not a natural part of the defensive play. Ohtani had no time to brace himself. He lost his balance completely and crashed hard to the ground directly in front of tens of thousands of stunned fans. The ballpark went from electric to dead silent in less than a second. Slow-motion replays broadcast on the stadium's big screen showed exactly what happened, and analysts watching live were immediate and unambiguous. The contact looked intentional. It did not resemble any natural defensive movement that would follow a first baseman receiving a throw. The replays showed Ohtani absorbing the full force of the collision, his body folding as he hit the ground. And then the benches cleared. Kyle Tucker, Freddie Freeman, and multiple other Dodgers players stormed onto the field. This was not a slow walk or a quiet gathering on the warning track. This was a full, heated response. Rockies players pushed back immediately and refused to stand down. Verbal exchanges escalated rapidly and the confrontation turned physical in spots. Umpires were moving through the crowd of players trying to restore order. Security personnel rushed onto the field. The game came to a complete stop for several minutes while the situation was brought under control. The crowd in Dodger Stadium was boiling. Every time the replay of the collision appeared on the big screen, the boos cascaded down from the stands. Fans who had been cheering the comeback were now furious. Their best player, the most valuable player in the sport, was on the ground, and the play that put him there looked deliberate. After a lengthy review and deliberation by the umpiring crew, the Rockies' first baseman was ejected from the game. The Rockies' coaching staff argued the decision aggressively, but the ruling stood. The ejection acknowledged that the contact went beyond the boundaries of acceptable play. The story did not end there. MLB announced a separate investigation into the play, a formal review process that would examine whether additional discipline, including a suspension, was warranted. Former players and analysts weighing in live on television were pointed in their assessments. The consensus from people who have played the game at the highest level was that the contact was not a baseball play. It was a threat to a player's physical safety. The incident intensified an ongoing conversation in the sport about player protection rules and whether the current framework is strong enough to prevent this kind of situation from happening again. While the arguments and ejections were still playing out, the more pressing concern for everyone watching was simple: how is Ohtani? The Dodgers' medical staff moved onto the field quickly. Ohtani was helped up, but he was visibly grimacing. He was escorted off the field, and the examination that followed focused on his legs, hips, and lower body, the areas that had taken the most direct impact from the collision and the fall. For a player of Ohtani's profile and importance, not just to the Dodgers but to the entire structure of MLB's global reach, a serious injury at this stage of the season would have been a catastrophic development. The initial results when they came in brought significant relief. Doctors found no serious bone or ligament damage. The diagnosis that emerged was muscle soreness and heavy bruising, with medical staff indicating he would remain under close monitoring. That update traveled through the stadium and across social media almost instantly, and the reaction was the kind of collective exhale that only happens when an athlete of Ohtani's significance escapes a truly dangerous moment. But no serious damage is not the same as cleared to play, and the Dodgers would be watching his progress carefully in the days ahead, knowing that even soreness and bruising can affect a player's timing, mobility, and output in ways that show up on the field. When Ohtani spoke after the game, the contrast between his demeanor and the chaos that had unfolded on the field was striking. He did not attack the player who hit him. He did not escalate the controversy or fuel the anger that was already burning across fan bases and social media. His message was composed and straightforward: baseball should be played with respect and fair play. That was it. No lengthy complaint, no pointed accusations, no performance for the cameras. Analysts and fans who had been watching the incident closely noted that his response added to the respect he already commands, not just as a player, but as a public figure in the sport. Here was a man who had just been knocked to the ground in front of his home crowd, who had every right to be angry and who chose composure instead. The game still had to be finished, and the Dodgers finished it emphatically. Ohtani's grounder with the run that scored on the play following the overturned call cut the Rockies' lead to 3-2. The inning was far from over. Mookie Betts stepped up and delivered a sacrifice fly that tied the game at 3-3. The crowd, which had gone through fury and fear in the span of 20 minutes, was back to full volume, but the Dodgers weren't done. Ohtani, despite everything that had happened, stole second base aggressively during a Rockies defensive lapse, an act that underlined exactly what kind of competitor he is. Even hurting, even in the middle of an incident that would have rattled most players, he was still playing to win. Freddie Freeman followed with an RBI double to right field. Ohtani scored, Dodgers lead 4-3. The stadium was at maximum volume. Then Andy Pages added an RBI single that pushed the lead to 5-3, and just like that, a game the Rockies had led by 2 runs in the 7th had completely flipped. A 4-run 7th inning had erased the deficit, answered every crisis, and delivered a victory that nobody inside Dodger Stadium will forget in a hurry. Beyond the drama of this specific game, there is a larger pattern that analysts have been tracking closely. Ohtani's exit velocity and contact quality have been improving with each passing game in this stretch. The balls coming off his bat are being driven harder and traveling farther with increasing consistency. The numbers are pointing in one clear direction, a player building towards something. The expert read on his current trajectory is that a home run surge could be right around the corner. His rhythm at the plate, his pitch recognition, and the raw power he's generating in his swing are all trending in the same direction at the same time. The seventh inning of this game, even through the fog of the collision and the chaos that followed, offered another data point in that pattern. A player who, on the first pitch of the game, identified a specific pitch type in a specific location and drove it to the wall, and who, even in the most pressure-filled at-bat of the night, made hard contact and sparked a 4-run comeback. In one inning, the Dodgers and Ohtani delivered virtually every emotion the sport is capable of producing: brilliance, danger, anger, fear, relief, and ultimately victory. The final score was 5-3. The story was everything around it.